Welcome to TTBS, the podcast, a very special edition with the Big Ballot Podcast 2026. Did you like the tunage there? The different music
that was very
renderings?
patriotic.
Well,
I enjoyed that.
That's what we do around here. This is I'm good, Cheyenne. Thank you very much. Cheyenne is here at Truman's Bar and Grill taking care of us. And this is weird because we were here yesterday, brother.
Yeah.
And I cleaned everything up and got out of here. And then today it was Groundhog Day for me. I was
You're
like,
right back.
I can't believe I was here again. I hated setting up all the equipment every single day for a radio show and tearing it back down the moment the show ended. And I did that for, I think, around 6 years.
Good grief.
And that was
daily.
Daily.
This is only 2 days in 1 week.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm getting to is I don't like doing this. So you're going to see me probably do this approximately once a week. I do it. We if you're up for it, we have a special broadcast coming up in September 28th, when we'll broadcast live from the club at Old Hawthorne for Emery Sapp and Sons. That'll be on a Monday for their golf tournament. But other than that, don't expect me to do a bunch of this stuff like we have going on. I'm going to jump right into this morning because a lot of people want to talk about these issues that I mentioned. We're going to get into and talk about for next Tuesday's election on August the 4th. So besides yourself and myself, and you are Ellis Bennis with floatingaxe.com.
Good to be here.
We have our longtime friend, I hate to say old friend, so longtime friend of TTBS and a personal friend of mine as well, Joe Priestmeyer in the house. How you doing, Jojo?
I am outstanding.
Well, that's what I want to hear.
That's
what I want to hear. Yeah, I know. I was talking to his wife, Angie, the other day, and she said, he's outstanding. And I said, I don't want to hear it. I don't, not with what I've got going on this year. Do you want me to talk about that?
Absolutely.
No, I'm not going to get into it.
We'll have to do that another week.
There will be an upcoming special podcast, and it'll be called Testicular Atrophy. But I'll leave it at that. Joe, how long has it been since you and I have been on a show together?
Boy, that's a good question. It's been...
Go on, not 2 years. Not because
no, you
were probably on within the last month of my show, so it's been over a year and a half.
It's probably been, I was going to guess, a little over a year.
Okay, and it is tremendous to have you here. And I want to make clear, one of the main reasons you're with us is because no matter what you and I might or might not think about an issue, we've always found the ability to talk to each other.
Absolutely.
And listen.
That's why I consider you one of my best friends.
Look at that.
Look at that.
That's very special. Now, Ellis, on the other hand, we argue like cats and dogs over here. Right? I think we see eye to eye on a lot of stuff, Ellis. You might be more at a fever pitch on some things. And and part of that could be my age, that there is a mellowing that's happened to me. But I think there's also a place where I say, I want to find common ground for us all to move forward.
Yeah.
I was watching a wonderful documentary about Lewis and Clark. It was actually the men who built this country or something like that. But that particular episode was on Lewis and Clark. Lewis and Clark had a hell of a job in front of them that they were given by President Thomas Jefferson. And to head off into a wilderness, do you know that they were wondering if they might run into woolly mammoths on the trail? Because they didn't have any idea what was out there.
Yeah.
So they're kind
totally unexplored, totally unknown.
Right. And they had to make sacrifices, and there had to be compromises constantly. And for some reason, in the last 15, 20 years, compromise has become an ugly word. It's not an ugly word. It is truly how we find a path together to make things better. And it doesn't matter if you're 100% right and they're 100% wrong. You're going to have to find a way to keep people on the wagon moving down the road, right?
Absolutely. Great point. That's the whole point of compromise is you give up, everybody gives up something, everybody gets something.
Well, and it started out as Lewis, Clark, and Steve, but they killed Steve real quick. He never made That is not true history. I'm just kidding.
It was before Donner passed, but they did eat Steve. They did eat him because there weren't any woolly mammoths. All right, folks, we're going to go through 3 of the issues that are on the ballot. We're not going to get into judgeships. We're not going to talk about some of the other. These are the 3 that I think are most viral out there, and I don't mean social media, I mean everywhere.
Absolutely.
That people are talking about. I was catching an interview with Channel 8 this morning with Governor Mike Kehoe, and Mike Kehoe, the Ford dealer?
Yep.
And it was interesting to hear his stance on some of these. We're going to go through the 3, and we'll do them in this order. Amendment 4, followed by Amendment 5. Those are both state issues voting across all the state of Missouri on Tuesday. And then Prop 1, which is the Columbia 1% safety sales tax. So jumping into Amendment 4. And I don't know, let me ask first of all, When did you guys start getting a feel for Amendments 4 and 5 that they were going to be coming up and existing and knowing what they were?
Oh, I probably around. I really started diving into them. I'd say 3 or 4 months ago, when when they started percolating, and so I've been paying pretty close attention and trying to figure these things out for a pretty good amount of time.
Would you say the same thing?
I'm just a couple months probably. Yeah, where it started popping up and I started paying attention and actually starting to read and understand and look at the people talking about it.
The Amendment 4, I don't know when that got into my peripheral at all. The other, Amendment 5, which we'll talk about secondly, with this income tax, that's been discussed for years and years.
A long time. Yeah.
People have talked about doing away with property taxes or reducing sales tax or getting rid of income tax completely.
Yep.
And the fact that we are voting on that in the state of Missouri this Tuesday blows my mind. So Amendment 4, first of all, the vote, a state amendment, a change in our Missouri Constitution. That's when we talk about an amendment, that's what it is. To this Amendment 4 would require all future citizen-led amendments that are up for vote to win in every congressional district. Not a simple majority across the state, which is what the law dictates now in our Constitution, but instead it would have to win as a majority in every single one of the 8 congressional districts. It's turning the ballot fight into a debate over who speaks for voters outside of Missouri's big cities. That's what they're talking about in general. And we'll go through the ballot language, but back to the big cities and the outside areas. If you want to look at an example of this, there are 8 districts in Missouri. Each one has about 775,000 citizens.
Okay.
That's approximate. It's really close to 775,000. In demographic makeup, economic concerns, square miles, every single district is different. Religions are different between those districts. Some churches ain't got nothing going on in some of those districts. The urban feel of District 1 with his St. Louis City proper and parts of St. Louis County, that's District 1. That's very different from the majority of the 39 rural counties that make up Congressional District number 6 in northern Missouri. 39 counties. Mm-hmm. It's the entire northern quarter, third, whatever, of Missouri. 39 counties, which is, in fact, over a third of the counties in the state of Missouri. So how the hell do they have anything in common with the city of St. Louis? You've been in the city of St. Louis.
I have, many times.
It doesn't look like Schuyler County.
It does not.
When you're going through there. Adair, Andrew, Atchison, Audrain, Buchanan, Caldwell, Carroll, Sheraton, Clark. Good God, that's not even a fourth of the counties that are up there. This is a reality that we have, is that how can someone in St. Louis vote a law into place for someone that's up in DeKalb County?
Yeah.
But if you're talking about amendment to the Constitution, it's a statewide document, and it is the rule of the land that we live by here. And we vote on it because we're citizens of Missouri. And I don't care if you're down in the Boot Heel or if you're over in Jackson County or you're in Kansas City near the Memorial for World War I. You're still voting on this. We're all voting on it. This is a change in exactly how a citizen-led change in the Constitution would get voted on and approved, but not an amendment proposed by the legislature.
That's right. Rules for thee, not for me.
Yeah. Now, I told you we're going to go through this, and I'm not trying to change anybody's mind, but I will be sharing opinions on this. I want to ask Joe, where do you sit on looking at this? What's your view on this Amendment 4?
There's a couple different levels, right? And there's a couple different things that I think are pertinent. One is, ultimately, this is really just kind of a decision about how we enact our democracy, right? So is democracy 50+1 in terms of, hey, we're going to put something in front of you and we're going to vote on it, and if the majority of people want it, the majority of constituents want it, that's what we're going to get? Or is it, hey, we want to give different segments more influence or their own influence, which could impact that, right? Which could mean, hey, in order for something to pass, you might have to get 75 or 80% of people to agree to it in order for it to pass. So that's one issue. The other issue that I have, and this is, I struggle with this one a little bit. I do believe amending the Constitution should be difficult. I think amending the Constitution should not be the avenue for policy making. The problem I have is, or the issue on the other side of that is, we're supposed to have a representative government, and our representatives aren't always representing what their constituents want. The constituents say, hey, this is what we want to see. Here's a policy we want enacted. We're going to either do a petition drive or lobby for it, and in some cases even get it passed. And then the representatives say, nah, we don't really think you guys know what you're doing, so we're not going to let you do that. So this is an avenue for citizens to say to their representatives, look, you're not representing what we want, so we're going to do it on our own.
Well, we're going to take the bull by the horns on this thing. You mentioned policy, and you mentioned a certain level of difficulty that needs to be, you feel there needs to be a level of difficulty. The wind shouldn't blow and change the Constitution in the state of Missouri.
Sure, that I believe in.
And when you mention policy, I agree with you. And that why are we changing a Constitution, which is really, it is law, but it's also a set of principles in which then policies and directives are based on.
Sure.
How does this stick up against the state constitution as well as the federal constitution? And so that's kind of what it should be. And it's like, wait a second, did you guys make an amendment for marijuana? Yeah. Now, I mean, that's an example. It's like, what about new Coke? I mean, like what else are you going to make it about? And I'm not. I actually was for the legalization of marijuana,
absolutely,
recreationally speaking. But it feels weird that that's a constitutional amendment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's my point. Those types of things shouldn't necessarily be part of our Constitution. The Constitution is kind of guidelines, parameters.
It should guide other
rails.
policy.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but again, the issue becomes, but you guys aren't doing your job and representing us in the way we want to be represented. This is our only avenue for which to, obviously voting, but that's a completely separate issue.
I think the tough thing about Amendment 4 with the common man and woman out there is that, how did you do in your political studies in school? How did you do with your community tests? How do you understand how government works? And it's difficult to understand this and then to get yourself into the fray. So we're going to try and simplify it this morning as we go through it a little bit. I want to give you guys an example of what I've put together on this, and then we'll go back through a couple of things that I found, including from the MissouriIndependent.com. Interestingly, if we had the new rule that's being proposed on Amendment 4 in place as we're getting ready to vote for it, I don't think it would pass.
You're right.
It's going to be very difficult to see 8 districts pass this. Plus, I want to throw something else out also that I find to be a little weird. We're basing this on congressional districts. That's how we send someone to represent us in the House of Representatives in Washington. It's a federal need. We don't need districts for the congressional districts for Washington in Missouri. And we can base things off them if we want to. But that's all federal stuff. Why in the world are we using that as any kind of a litmus or barometer or temperature wind guide for what's going on in the state of Missouri? Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense. That's another fundamental issue that I have with this is it seems kind of arbitrary.
Right. Mike Kehoe, I mentioned the Ford dealer. What if we base the districts off of the zones for the Ford dealerships in the state of Missouri? Right. And people are like, why are you basing it on that? It's like, it's the same damn thing. The congressional districts are for Washington.
Right.
And that's kind of getting in the weeds, and that's not a reason to vote for or against it. It's just one of those things. But I was thinking to myself, why not give you guys a story? So I put together a story on this thing. In the Bible Belt of Springfield, a preacher starts talking about the evils of rock and roll. The preacher's name is Reverend Smith. Those who are going to deep dive on this will understand that in a little bit. Reverend Smith says electric guitars are the instrument of the devil. Electric guitars. And it leads to substance abuse and fornication. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. He convinces his congregation and other churches to form a coalition. Together, these prim and proper citizens convince their local civic leaders to outlaw electric guitars in their cities. Now, that's municipal ordinances at that level. Laws are passed. Electric guitars are now illegal in places like Nixa, Missouri, Ozark, Missouri, and McCracken, Missouri. I love the name McCracken.
McCracken.
How you doing over there? I see you fidgeting. Well, that's McCracken. Sorry, I had to. There in the Bible Belt, a bunch of music lovers start a petition to place an amendment before voters to enshrine the right to own and play electric guitars within Missouri's Constitution. And it begins to go out from there. And then you see people, Gibson's behind this, and they're putting money in from Nashville, and you got Fender coming in out of Michigan or California. The petition picks up speed in places like Columbia, a land of live music, and musicbeagle.com. In other words, the devil's playground here. We see folks outside Dive Bar and Pierpont and Cooper's Landing, Truman's Bar and Grill, collecting signatures. The signatures are verified, and the Secretary of State approves the amendment to be on an upcoming ballot. Are you with me so far?
Yep.
To quote the Eagles. The big day of voting arrives. Across Missouri, massive turnout. Music lovers and even music haters understand the need to protect the pursuit of heavy metal happiness. And they passed the amendment with a resounding 75% yes vote in 7 of the 8 districts. 75% yes. It's electric guitars, for the love of Jesus Jones.
That's Jesus.
But in Springfield, the home of Reverend Smith, the amendment fails. 51% in that district vote no. 51%. So if you look at it, it's like a roughly, I don't even know, like 2.7 million yes votes in the state of Missouri, and you'd have like 500,000 no votes, and yet the amendment would still fail. Remember, the amendment to protect our guitars only passed in 7 districts, not all 8, so the measure fails, and in little towns all across Missouri, churches start pressuring aldermen in each of those cities to enact local ordinances banning perfectly good guitars. And by the way, the one who started the petitions down there was a rocker by the name of Allison Cooper. See what I did there?
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
So that's a reality, and you're like, well, that could never happen. It most certainly can.
Yep.
It absolutely can, because we've seen cities, hell, during COVID, we saw cities and counties start passing laws. We're like, what the hell are you doing? And I believe some of them were absolutely unconstitutional, both against the federal Constitution and the Missouri state Constitution, and yet they did that. And if that crap had kept on going, we were going to have to get to the point that we're going to have to start passing some amendments. And it would have happened, and it would have been a groundswell if nothing else, and it would have been a petition-led, citizen-led initiative. Now, why in the hell has Congress in the state, our legislature, why in the hell did they step forward and say, we'll change how this is going to be, if you vote yes for it, for citizen-led, but not for legislative-introduced amendments? Why? Why in the world?
Power.
Yeah. Rules for thee, not for me.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the
Power.
best way to explain this. Do you agree with the statement that if this passes, it will effectively kill all citizen-led amendments in the future? Because that's what I've been reading. That's what I understand it. Because like Tom just said, 75% for this tiny little sliver against. Any citizen-led thing is going to be killed. Do you agree with that? Or
that's maybe a little bit hyperbolic. I don't think it would necessarily just completely eliminate it. I mean, look, to play devil's advocate here.
I tend to not try to be on his side.
It does. It does force compromise, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It forces you, like, if you want to change the Constitution, it forces people to negotiate and come to some compromise. I'm not advocating for this proposition because of that, but I think ending petition-driven initiatives is probably a little too strong, but it certainly would curtail them probably more than I'm comfortable with letting happen.
It's interesting you mentioned compromise, because if you were saying, this is the ballot language we want, we're going to put this is what we want to ask for, and then it goes, if you're looking at all the 8 districts and somebody on your team goes, you put that language on there, you're going to lose St. Louis.
Right.
And then they may have to, then that is part of that compromise. They back down a little bit from their high and mighty horse and go, let's soften the blow a little bit and put it down here like that. The problem being still that while it would be more difficult for citizen-led, it wouldn't be for the legislature.
Correct.
And
Which
they
is,
would,
can I challenge?
one vote over 50%
Yes.
would give them their amendment
Well,
change.
again, going all the way back to kind of the 40,000-foot level. What do you want your democracy to look like?
Right.
Do you want it to be majority rule, or do you want it to be potentially 90% rule?
Well, and that's like people. We say democracy in terms of we get to vote, but we are a representational constitutional republic.
We are
right?
both a democracy and a republic.
Right.
And
Correct.
before, in getting ready for this week, I went through some really great writings on such things, and it's like, if anybody says no, we're a democracy or no, we're a republic, they're trying to argue a different point, because the reality is we are both.
We're both.
Yeah.
We're a democratic republic.
That's right. And so there are times that we, the people, will rise up and we will dictate what's going to happen.
Right.
And that can happen.
But this
through-
rising up with this would be harder as individuals, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
and we'd be the ones signing off on it next Tuesday going, yep, put a shackle on my little toe. And
Yep.
somebody says, it's only a shackle on your little toe. You didn't want to run anyway. And it's like, wait a second. I'm pretty sure I just cut off some of my own freedoms and opportunities. And I think, in fact, the other issues we're going to get into next make sense that they're out there and that we're talking about them. And I can see the points on both sides. In this particular one, I can't even believe it's there. It's like, wait, let me get this right. Mom and Dad are giving us all a vote if we should have a curfew on Friday nights. I'm 16, and I pretty much want to stay out until 2 in the morning. It's up to me, and then that's it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to say, let me stay out. And somebody else in the family is like, no, I'm going to vote for 11 o'clock curfew. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I feel like that. There's another way I want to look at this as well, which is that it's like a poker game. You know, you're playing poker and you got the what is it, the little and the big, the little and the big blind.
The little blind.
The
Yeah,
little blind,
big
big
blind, yeah.
And then you've also got the dealer. And the all three of these kings move around, all right? So it comes to me, I'm dealing, we got 8 people at the table. I'm one of 8, and I'm playing the game of poker, and right now I'm dealing. And I stop, and before I deal, I go, hey, we're gonna come up with a new rule, which is from now on, the dealer can introduce any rule they want to. Anybody can introduce any rule they want to. If the dealer introduces a rule, all right, and it could be anything, like 8s are wild, or we're gonna put 2 jokers in, and aces are now only a low card, cannot be combined with a queen and a king or whatever. So that's gonna be the rule. Any dealer can introduce this. If the dealer introduces it, the dealer only has to get 5 people,
Right.
including themselves, to vote yes for this.
Right.
But if you guys who aren't dealing introduce one, you have to get everybody at the table.
Right.
Now, I'm the dealer right now, and I'm going to introduce this, and so we're going to vote on it now. And everybody's out there like, are you serious? Like, yeah. Now, do a little game theory. The next 4 people to my left know they're getting ready to be the dealer. So they're going to be able to introduce new rules if they want to also.
Yep.
They're actually more likely to say yes to my idea. I'm almost to the point of getting 5 people on this table to approve. And then if anybody else tries to introduce a rule when they're not the dealer, they have to get every single person to agree to this.
Right.
And I just got it to happen, and the first rule was this new rule. And that's the damnedest thing in the world.
Right.
And you'd never play poker with some crap like that going on.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think where the idea behind this comes is that the rural Missourians are tired of feeling like only St. Louis, Kansas City, and Columbia matter. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you look at, you mentioned recreational marijuana, that passed 53.1, but it only passed in 15 out of 114 counties.
Yeah.
And then the reproductive freedom amendment, it passed 51.7, but it only passed in 7 out of 14 counties. Now, I hear people say land doesn't vote. Like, okay, I get that. But at the same time, it's like these 3 cities basically dictate everything that happens to everybody in the state, and it sucks.
Yeah, it does.
So I get that. I think, do you agree? Do you think that's where a lot of this
agree,
comes from, I think?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think, and that's where we have part of the thing that I think is a misgiving is like, this is going to give power to the urban, to the rural areas. It's like, you guys, not necessarily at all.
Right.
Because anything they suggest, St. Louis, Kansas City, and Columbia can kill relatively easily.
Right. I mean, and so I don't think you're going to see that balance. What you are going to see is that any new idea it'll be difficult for it to get passed if it's citizen led.
Yeah.
And so whatever that might be, and those were new ideas, right?
Well, so was the Hancock Amendment.
Yep.
Right.
Which we're talking about in 5.
Oh, okay, great. But
right?
I mean, that was, that was a fairly conservative ideological amendment to the Constitution.
Now, was that legislature-led or was that citizen-led?
That was citizen-led.
Okay.
And it would not have passed.
Right.
So, if you are couching your decision on this amendment in whether you think it is more liberal ideology or conservative ideology, I would simply say be careful what you wish for, because you may get it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want those progressives being able to easily pass something, and 10 years from now you're going to find, yeah, but what about my conservative idea that I want to get passed?
Yep.
That's never going to make it.
Yeah, I'm so glad both of you guys brought up both these things.
Yeah.
More of the rural feeling out there, and what winds up being a conservative vote.
Yeah.
And you're saying that liberal, conservative, be careful what you're asking for. And it's like, yeah, this is not necessarily left or right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you're going to find out when it's not the thing you want, all of a sudden it's getting shoved down your throat, or the other way around.
Yep.
And I just think, go back to it being a principle. And I've talked to so many people who've agreed. I think we should have a higher threshold that we have to reach in a majority vote in order to make an amendment to the Missouri State Constitution. I agree. I like the if we were talking about that today, then it would be, I think for a lot of it would be like, what's the magic number then? 60%? 69%? I've always liked 69. I think it could be that. But I mean, I think we'd be talking about that
Right.
more likely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
that's again, the debate is, how do we want to affect our democracy, right?
Right.
And where do we want to draw the line?
Yeah.
I hate seeing on ballots amendment to the Constitution. My personal, I hate it. I'm like, the Constitution is not a place for marijuana legislation, even though I might agree with it. But having said that, I think this probably goes too far, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So can we like definitively say this is where I stand and this is where I'm voting on it? Do you want to go that strong, or is that too strong?
Sure, because I am. But you guys don't have to. I never
will.
tell anybody they have to. And plus, there are times I feel like if I don't want to, I won't tell you. And if I want to change my mind, I can.
Yep.
But no, I'll tell you that on Amendment 4, I'm absolutely voting it down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm voting no as well. The biggest one that's just alarm bell. I love the story you just depicted of the dealer. That is like, if it's rules for thee, not for me. I'm completely against that. I think it's completely wrong. And I mean, we elect our representatives, but at the same time, I get it. And it's frustrating, the idea that these urban populations kind of control the state. But I do agree, like it's not land, right? There are more people there.
And that's part of the thing. It's not just that, everybody in St. Louis leans to this direction.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people
There's
there.
a lot of people there.
And they do see the world differently than you.
Yeah.
It doesn't make them right or wrong necessarily. And if you wake up in one of those counties, Dare County, and you wake up every morning and you've got some farmland out there and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Maybe you're waking up and you're seeing those damn windmills out there. I can't stand those things. But whatever it is, I mean, you've gotten a wonderful life, and I'm proud for you, and I'm happy for you. There are people in St. Louis that don't want that life. And there's a lot of things you're going to disagree on with them, but they have a huge number of people in there. So
we're both no. Do you want to share your statement? You don't have to.
Sure,
of course.
I absolutely will. I agree. While I fundamentally agree with the principle of we shouldn't use our Constitution as a legislative or a policy vehicle, I'm voting no on this.
All right.
I want to mention right now that on our media outlets out there like Facebook, I mean, if you're chiming in on there, that's fine. Generally, and I don't know if you're
Yeah, I'm watching the no comments yet.
Yeah, and we don't ask for comments
Right.
on this, and we don't take phone calls or anything like that. It doesn't happen. But you're welcome to, and you can jump our ass, and it doesn't matter to me if you wind up agreeing with me. We just want to put these things out there. Okay, we're only going through 3 issues. So second on the list is Amendment 5. Shall the Missouri Constitution be amended to require legislative phase-out of the individual state income tax based on revenue growth, and authorize the expansion of sales and use taxes, curtail constitutional limits on taxing goods and services, and require local tax rate cuts without reducing school funding if local sales tax revenue increases. I could tell you right now, I don't like this because there's a lot of questions in there. And it's like, wait a second. Am I just circling the yes? Or are there like 7 yeses I have to circle on this thing? Yep. Because shall they require the legislature to phase this out? And are we going to go ahead and authorize the expansion of sales taxes and the rising of sales taxes? And those are 2 different things. We can expand sales taxes that don't exist right now, and use taxes that don't exist. And use is mentioned in another act, that's 4. Curtail constitutional limits on taxing goods and services and require local tax rate cuts without reducing school funding if local tax revenue increases.
Yeah.
That's 6.5.
I'm not even going to wait on this one. I am so hard no on this, it's not even funny.
But explain to me why.
So first off, it harkens back to we had a constitutional amendment that curtailed a lot of sales taxes, which came in. And it comes down to auto repair, agriculture, and farming. Our services, every time I sell a website or you sell a marketing package, there could potentially be sales tax on top of this. And so I'll just be very transparent. I pay about $2,000 last year in Missouri state income tax I had to pay. Well, I mean, if I went to the mechanic once and I had to do one other thing, there's easily that we could get hit with that much in terms of this. So it's like, yes, for high income earners, you should absolutely vote for this because it's going to benefit you. But for 95% of the rest of the state, you are going to get screwed because the agricultural sector of this is every single vet call, every single repair on your tractor, every single thing that comes down. And what's that going to do? All of our food prices are going to go up. And so the next time you go to the mechanic, if that bill's 8 to 10% higher because there's a sales tax on top of it, it is going to wipe out any amount that you save from the income tax being curtailed.
And just a quick point in that it's all possible.
Yeah.
We don't know that that's going to happen.
Right. But right now those things are constitutionally protected not to have sales tax on them.
Yeah, I will get to that point, but completely agree. But I take issue with some of the campaigning that says this is a tax cut.
Yep. It's not.
It's not a tax cut. No. It's just redesigning how Missouri collects its taxes. Yeah. It's not a tax cut.
No. The government doesn't give up money.
No.
They just find new ways to take it.
You know, and this is changing some of the ways that the government can gather money. We're giving them a bank card to go out there and get money. And that's absolutely what they're doing. Yep. Given the chance, do you believe a legislative body in this century has ever taken a bank card and deposited money?
Never
or
once.
Are they taking?
Always.
They're going to take.
Yep. Let me give you my analogy to this, because this is my fundamental. There are some arguments economically to be made that income tax, if you take it away, you can stimulate the whole economy, and a rising tide lifts all boats. There are arguments on the other side. Again, I'm playing devil's advocate here a little bit. This is my biggest issue with that. Yours being probably number 2. My biggest issue is, and I'm going to use an analogy. I sit on a board of directors for a business. The CEO and the management team come to a board meeting and say, we've got a proposition that we need board approval on. We're going to stop selling product A and replace that revenue with a series of new products. That's the proposal. Mm-hmm. Well, as a board member, I'm going to ask, what are the new products? What's the timeline? What's the revenue generated on each one? What happens if one of those products doesn't live up to its expectations? What I'm going to want to know all of those things as a board member before I make a decision.
Yep.
Unless potentially I have 100% absolutely complete faith in the CEO and their management team. They're all aligned. They've done this before. I've seen them execute. Maybe I'd still want to see the plan, but maybe I'd be like, yeah, I trust these guys. Right now, the executive team is our elected officials, and they are not aligned. They're not getting their job done right, and they don't have a plan. There's just an idea. They've given us a destination, but they haven't shown us how they're going to get there.
Well, and they're trying to extend
and
a cookie.
That is a huge problem.
Yeah,
for
and they're
me.
trying to extend a cookie. They wrapped this with like, oh, you're not going to have income tax anymore. It's like, yeah, it's like, now look behind the curtain. Let's look at why. What are they going to get out of it?
I mean, these TV ads that go, the average family's going to save $3,000 a year.
Bull crap.
And I'm like,
Bull crap.
It's not going to happen.
No.
And by the way, it's not me being some sort of like cynical, disgruntled bastard here in Missouri. It's actually, we need to bring in money. We need money at the state level. I don't know, if you do away with income tax, where are you going to get it? Because I need to know you're going to get it still. See, it's not just about me protecting my own pocket.
Right.
If you don't want me to pay you income tax anymore, okay, but what are you going to do? Because we need money. So right now we're bringing in $8.5 billion a year with income tax, and that's about half of the state's revenue annually. So well over half of the general revenue the state sees each year, what are we going to do to take care of that? It's going to come from somewhere.
Yep.
And even if I believed, and this is really important, if I believe that, let's say that it's $17 billion right now that we're bringing in, and when we go through all of our changes, it'll still be $17 billion. And let's say for me, to the penny, it's exactly how much I was spending in income tax. Wow. Why are we making the change?
Right.
Why do we need to
Great
make
point.
it? If it's all going to be, even if it's all going to come out that perfect,
Yeah.
then let it go.
And the only argument I've heard for it, we had a guest a few weeks ago that was for this because he was saying it from an economic development perspective,
Yeah.
right? He was talking about that, oh, well, companies will bring their employees here because then they don't have to pay their portion of the state income tax for their employees, right? And so I was like, I get that argument, but largely it is going to hurt American families.
Yeah, and when you start comparing us to other states, as I was looking this morning, some of the states that don't have a state income tax, the supporters have referenced include places like Texas.
Yep.
If
And
you want to
Florida.
try and compare
Texas,
us to Texas,
Florida,
good
sure.
luck. We're not Texas.
Right.
Ask any Texan.
That's
There is Missouri City, Texas, by the way.
Yeah,
Yep.
I had that's my fundamental issue with that argument. Sure, you can use states that don't have income to kind of generate ideas, but Texas and Florida are not Missouri.
No, they're not.
And there's
I'm
only
gonna,
9 that don't have income taxes, by the way. There's only 9 total states that
and I
have
think
it.
it'd be. I don't mind being the oddball out. If we're the ones who don't have it, that'd be great. Florida's tourism is not Missouri's tourism.
Correct.
Can I
There's
read these ones down?
Wait, no, but what I also want to mention, Texas, meanwhile, has the largest portion of oil production and natural gas production in the United States. 40% of the production. And it's taxed to high heaven. And they're making a ton of money at the state offices in
We don't
Austin.
have that.
No.
We don't have giant oil reserves under our state.
We got corn and soybeans and a little bit of cotton down the boot heel. And that's, we got lots of cattle. We got cattle. We got cattle.
Oh, we got rice.
If we got rice. If we started selling our bear meat,
there was just one in Colombia. Did you see the video?
Sell that bitch. So, I don't know if you want to look at the states, but
Well, I mean, just look at these: Alaska, Florida, Nevada, New Hampshire, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, and Wyoming. Well, right off the bat, Alaska, Florida, Texas, they have huge
Nevada,
people
Nevada
coming.
has a whole different thing in Nevada.
Oh, yeah.
New Hampshire, they're lost anyway, so I don't bring them up.
Washington was confusing too.
It
But
was.
Washington also has like the highest capital gains taxes in like the country, and so
Now, on the individual level, I get it. The people are going to look at their own, whether they are wealthy or whether they're not. And I see a lot of people that are on a fixed income with Social Security that is not taxed by income tax with the state of Missouri. And for them, I read here, Sherry Stevens said she doesn't believe she'll benefit from Amendment 5 since Missouri lawmakers passed a law in 23 that eliminates the state income tax on Social Security benefits, which means she'll start seeing her costs go up because
she can't save money.
She
on
cannot.
income tax.
It's impossible.
She
for
cannot.
her to
And
save.
so she's like, and I don't mind you looking at it for you specifically. I think a lot of us, it's really just a crap throw, except I know there's no way to hit 7 or 11. It's just going to come out something, and I don't know what it's going to be. So, it sounds to me like.
So does that mean we're all 3 no on 5?
Yeah, very much.
Absolutely
and again,
no
I mean,
on 5.
I will offer the caveat that I'm not opposed to re-examining how a state or our state collects taxes, right? I think there are ideas that are out there that could generate economic development if we tweak some things or So it's not.
Could we tax politicians' salaries
That
at like
would be
90%? I think that'd be.
But
good.
that's-
I'll vote
I
on
don't
that.
think it was
this
more
is-
than their salary. It's the crap they're earning behind the scenes.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Plus, you just don't. They don't have a plan. There's no plan. It's
That's
just,
exactly right.
We're just changing this.
It's an open pipeline, and they get to decide what they're going to connect to the pipeline and how wide they're going to open the valve.
Yeah.
And that's too much for me.
Yep.
I completely
just-
agree.
And I
can't
saw
get
somebody
along with
talking
that.
about that they were like, okay, well, our legislature can add sales tax. It's like they can, but there is a constitutional amendment in place, which was the Hancock Rule, which we're
Right.
talking about,
Right.
Which prevents them from ever adding sales tax to this huge list of high-ticket items. The Columbia Board of Realtors came out completely, or maybe the Missouri Board of Realtors came out completely against this because, again, think of all of the transactions that are involved in a house, and we need housing prices to go up, right? That needs to be more expensive. And so it's like all of these pieces that are touched when you are looking at buying or selling a house, every single one of those could wind up with a sales tax.
Oh, you're not kidding, man.
And I mean, that is a fortune.
No, and they came out, the real estate agencies and associations came out, and millions of dollars being spent against 5.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a resounding no
Yeah.
on 5 over here. The next one is our third and our final issue that we're talking about on Tuesday's vote, and this really hits all of us close at home here in Columbia.
Yep.
Proposition 1, that's the Columbia 1% safety sales tax. This one, while I was amazed and at times perplexed by the other two that we already discussed this morning, this one has left me tossing and turning at night, trying to figure out what to do on this thing.
I don't even get to vote for it, and I've still been tossing and turning.
I don't blame you. But you do spend money here.
I just spend a lot of money here.
Interesting this week when we were at Club at Old Hawthorne, and there was a presentation put on by the city. And I say by the city, the city manager wasn't there. We had 2 employees, which would be the chief of police and the fire chief. But we also had Barbara Buffalo. She's the mayor. I feel like the mayor can come up with an idea of this and say, here's why I think it's a good idea. But why is she on a sales tour? That's
Because she gets more money to control.
I mean, I think that's a part of what it is. But I know that a lot of people in that position would do the same thing. But that's not really your job. Your job is to help figure it out and then let us vote on it and help keep things honest up front and let us know what the hell this is all about. And tell us that from your position that you've been elected to, which is really, that's a city council person at large position is the mayoral duties. All of us in Columbia voted her in, whether you like it or not, and that's her job, is to keep an eye on this stuff and let us know what's going on. And if you say, look, if we need to be safer, we might need more money, and here's a way we could do it, and here's what the city has proposed. The city, the employees, the administration of the city, of which she is not. And so from me, I'm not a city employee, and I'm not the mayor. And I'm going to speak from more of, let's call it a holistic approach on this thing, which was, I think we need to spend money on safety. I think we've had a disservice by the people in the leadership positions. Last fall, when there was a young woman shot and killed on the streets of downtown Columbia, and Moon Choi at the university said, we need to stand up. We need to make a change. We need to do something, and I'm going to do a number of things, and we're going to talk, and we're going to meet, and we're going to congress to get something to happen, and we're even going to walk on Saturday night. And the city of Columbia went silent.
Yep.
The same people that went silent turned around 5 months later and said, hey, we need to get safer in Columbia, so we need a new safety sales tax. I am so pissed off at the way they've handled it. I guess I'm getting that across now, aren't I?
Yeah.
I hope.
You are.
With that being said, shall the municipality of Columbia, Missouri, impose an additional citywide sales tax at a rate of 1% solely for the purpose of providing revenues to improve public safety for the city, which shall be limited to expenditures on equipment, salaries, benefits, and facilities for police and fire departments, ? End of proposal. Right there, that's it. That 1% has no sunset in there at all. It's from now until your great-great-grandchildren or whatever they're buying in Columbia then. And it's 1% across the board in a sales tax. So, how do we feel about that? Who wants to?
You want me to go?
Yeah, go for it.
So, I'm actually the co-chair of the Government Affairs Committee for the Chamber of Commerce. So I've seen several presentations on this by city staff and gone over it ad nauseum in our committee. Tom, I completely agree with you. The discussions we have had about everything that's happened in the past have influenced a lot of our conversations. But what I would say is, I think kind of when you think about this, you need to kind of, I would say, set those aside and decide on the merits of whether or not this needs to get passed. I can tell you, I have seen a very compelling case for why the city needs this money, right? I mean, when we were talking about the Missouri, you said, we need money. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of caveats and a lot of hesitations about it, but I do think that ultimately, if this passes, our city becomes safer in the long run. So, I tend to lean towards supporting it, but it's not I have some caveats. I have some things that I'm concerned about. And again, it largely rests with politicians doing their job correctly. Right now, public safety eats up more than half of Columbia's budget. My concern is, if this passes, do our city council start eating away at that portion of the general budget, start taking money out of that? I don't want this to be a replacement for the general revenue budget. This should be incremental and in addition to 100%, right? So I have a concern about that.
Yeah.
I have a concern about how the money is going to be spent. Is it, we have a pension plan that is not 100% funded. Mm-hmm. Is all of this money just going to go into funding the pension plan, and we're still right where we are in terms of resource and employees, police officers, firefighters? I have some concerns that ultimately I think is incumbent upon the citizens to make sure that these things get addressed. But ultimately, it's our elected officials.
These are things, by the way, that you brought up, the concern about what's being spent from the general fund for fire and police right now. Is that going to be staying where it is? Don't start eating into that. And then also, like, for instance, if we're spending it on fire and police, how much are you spending annually toward that pension fund, which does need to be paid down? It's $150 million in the hole.
Right.
Now you look at that and you're like, wow, it's going to take a few $1 million every year for a few years. Right now they've got a 26 to 30-year plan on trying to get it paid off. I think we're going to be able to move that up to maybe like a 6 to 10-year plan. But if we don't like what they're doing with what they're spending it on for police and fire, or what's happening with the other money that's been in use in the general fund for those areas right now, we can always vote other people in that specifically go in there and say, this is my platform. This is what they've done wrong, and I'm going to go in and fix that. Elect me to the city council or elect me to the mayoral position, and let me take care of that. Now, will we do that? What I've seen in the last 20 years is we won't. We're going to elect people that make us feel nice. And we're not going to elect people that go, well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shovel shit because we got to get some shit taken care of over here. And we're going to build a new sewer line to take care of the shit we're making over here. And we need some electrical lines brought in here. People are like,
and you need the water tower that when you flush the toilet, it refills.
Yeah. They're like, what about puppy dogs and pretty pictures?
And no mow zones.
And no mow zones. And I think so. But those are my fellow citizens. And I think they will make mistakes in the future on what they vote on. I'm going to go with what Don Weaver said, president of the CPOA, when he was in here, and he said, there's two things you can do if you're upset with the leadership of the city of Columbia when it comes to this sales tax that we're voting on Tuesday. You can vote for it, and then when you wake up on Wednesday, we'll have the 1% safety sales tax. We've got $38 million a year to start spending towards safer streets, safer homes and buildings and neighborhoods, and you can start worrying about that city council and mayor on Wednesday morning. Or you can vote no for this. We won't have the $38 million. There'll be not another extra dime at all to go towards safety in our area that we need desperately, and I know we need it. And you'll wake up on Wednesday morning and still have problems with the mayor and the city council. Mm-hmm. And I looked at Don and I'm like, you son of a bitch. You got me on that one. Because I do believe in the police department. I believe in a police force. I believe in a law enforcement agency to help the citizens keep their noses in the right direction. And when the noses get in the wrong direction and we start a fire because we were cooking meth, I need the firefighters to go in there and save those idiot asses' lives and stop that fire from burning down the neighbor's place too.
Right.
We need safer streets. We need safer fire departments, not just for us, for the firefighters. We need cops that can take a day off when they have to have a day off. If they choose to work overtime, it needs to be of their choice, not mandatory, which is what it is right now. We need more than 10 or 11 cop cars out there on the streets when we've got who knows what's going on outside at 9 o'clock at night. I'm so old, 9 o'clock is late, just so you guys understand. Now, I'm going to be voting for the 1% safety sales tax, and I think it goes on. Columbia Police Chief Jill Schluty said if the proposed tax doesn't pass, which that it would absolutely affect policing. The department would have to make cuts. If this doesn't pass, it will affect policing in a negative way because the price of everything is going up, and she can only do so much with the money she has. With current staffing concerns, the department already has disbanded its DWI unit. Good thing we don't have anyone drinking and driving in Columbia. And the traffic unit is down to one person. One person. Do you know why people are driving like assholes out there? Because they can.
Yep.
There's no one to stop them, unless you're suddenly going to have road rage and turn into a vigilante out there, which is not what we want. Columbia works close to a projected general fund shortfall for fiscal year 2027. Did you know that? A general fund shortfall.
Yes.
Some residents have questioned whether Proposition 1 could allow funds designated for public safety to eventually be redirected into other areas. The $38 million cannot be redirected to other areas. The one thing that Barbara Buffalo said the other night is that if you look at our park tax, which is specific to parks, it was voted on specifically for parks, it cannot be used for anything else. She said the city council at that time said, we're not going to change what's going on with the general fund in parks. And she said, and they haven't. And she said, that's the same thing going forward now. And I did not raise my hand because I promised I would not talk at that session. And so I thought to myself, I wish that was also in writing in the ballot. I wish it was right there and it said, and it cannot, the percentage that's being spent right now on fire and the percentage on police cannot change year after year after year.
Yep.
It's not.
Yep.
I don't trust what she said 100%, but I've got to vote for this thing, and I've got to hope for the best.
That's I would encourage you. I hope I'm not jumping out of turn here.
Go for it.
I'm in terms of the chamber. I'm pretty sure that this letter was released yesterday, but there is a letter that the chamber that the Government Affairs Committee helped draft that in essence says we support this initiative, but it's a couple pages of caveats that, Tom, you were talking about. And it's the proverbial strongly worded letter, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't carry a ton of weight,
Yeah.
but it does at least put into the ethosphere, hey, these are the things that we are concerned about. We feel this is necessary, exactly what you were saying.
Yeah.
We are going to support it, but we've got a lot of concerns,
Yep.
and we want to see them addressed.
Yep.
And
So to put you on the spot, Tom was going to vote yes, and I believe that means you also would say.
well, yes, I would. I live in one of those weird places in Columbia.
Oh, so you don't get to vote either?
I don't get to
I
vote
didn't
on
know
it.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I live about a mile and a quarter south of my mom, and I leave my house, and about 500 yards after I leave my house, I'm in the city and drive all the way to my mom's house and then turn left on her street, and then I'm back in the county.
And I've been out to your place. I had no idea that was not
it's
city proper.
I'm technically in the county, but
But your engagement with this city is for decades and decades.
Sure.
And much appreciated, too.
So I'm going to say I can't vote on this, but I would, and forgive me, I've got a lot of cop friends, I've got a lot of firefighter friends. I'm sorry to say this. I would not vote for this.
Really?
I would absolutely vote no. And here's the reason. Columbia runs a budget of like $750 million. And so we're talking about 5 to 6% of their budget. And the way I see this sales tax increase is exactly the way as you would see a doctor that makes $1 million a year, that he then gets a raise and he's still broke because he can't manage his money.
Except I've got to tell you that the money that they have in the general fund is not the close to 700 million.
Yeah.
It's like 170 million.
I mean, I think it might even be a little less. I
160.
want to be careful, but I think it might be a little less than that.
So actually, in the numbers, it winds up being about a 25% increase in that. By adding 38 million, we've got a 25% increase. So if that balances some part of that for you a little bit.
It still doesn't, because again, they're bringing in a massive amount of money, and they're spending it on stuff. And it really boils down to, why do most lottery winners wind up broke? Why are there incredibly high income earners out there that are still living paycheck to paycheck? It's because they can't manage their money. They're doing stupid stuff with their money, and they're making bad decisions.
There's no
so
question
no
about
more
that.
amount of money is coming in. And I get what you're saying, that you're right. We're going to have those same people in office, and this sounds really crass and maybe even a little harsh. And again, I apologize, because there's a lot of folks this will probably piss off. But the fact of the matter is, if things got worse, then we might actually start holding our politicians accountable. But here's what's going to happen. They're going to get the money, and it's going to look like they're doing a good job because safety is going to get better, but they didn't actually do anything to make safety better. They sat on their butts and didn't step up.
Here's the deal. I don't think our vote on whether we should have leashes on our dogs or whether we should have a 1% sales tax, I don't think that's going to change the direction and the overall persona of who Barbara Buffalo is. Anybody else on there. And to Carlin Seawood, I believe that's an absolute lost cause. I want a new city manager in here, because what you're talking about is the person that goes, this desk is unlike any other desk in this town, and here is where truth meets the reality right here. And where the dollars come in, where the electric lines come in and the water towers, this is everything right here. And we don't have someone like that in the city manager's desk. God, I wish that's a job that I could handle. I'd go right now and petition for it. I don't even know what I would do, but I'd be like, give me that damn thing. But let's face it, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. So and that's why you're not going to change a politician by the way you vote on this thing. Let me give you an example. Anthony Weiner. Let me call him by his online name. Carlos Danger.
We're going there?
Carlos Danger.
Given the first chance he ever had to surf porn, I want to go back to when I was a child. You had to try and steal magazines. Back then. First chance he ever had to surf porn, he's surfing porn. The first time he got a digital camera, he took pictures of his junk. First time he could send that digitally to some woman somewhere else, he did it. The first day he's like, wait a second, I got this. And he sent it. When he was elected, it didn't stop the kind of guy that he was. When he was no longer able to get elected, it didn't. He's still sending crap right now. Right now, as we're speaking, he's taking pictures of his junk, and it's going out to somebody. You're not gonna be able to teach a lesson, and not just the city leaders who have been elected in these positions, but also the constituents who vote for them. You won't teach them anything. And I'll tell you about something else too. When you're proactive with your community and trying to build it in a positive direction, whether you're talking about economics or reducing criminal activity and violent crime, if you want streets to be cleaner, you want the parks to be greener, if you're working toward that, that's what you want to see, it's going to happen by being proactive, not by saying no. It's really, really hard to say no and get to where you're going. People say, I want our community to grow, but only at this rate. You can't.
Right.
You can't. You need to be proactive, because if you want your community to grow at only a certain rate, you'll actually stifle it, and the quality of life will go down, and so will the household income in your community. And it's been documented 1 billion times in this nation. When we look at 1, 5, and 10 years down the road in Columbia, if we have this 1% sales tax in, you're going to see a healthier, more thriving community. You're going to see people out there doing everything they want to do that's legal and feeling good about it. Right now, we have people that are scared to go out. And I understand why. And when you lived in Columbia, the gunshots that were hitting your walls.
Literally, I had a bullet come through the front door of my house on Bodie Drive. There was a shooting every 2 weeks, and in 9 years, in my understanding, there were 0 arrests.
When we put the $38 million in this toward fire and police, we're going to have a population that starts saying, wait a second, the cops have been given everything, and they're doing a tremendous job. What's going on with our court system? And now and people are moving in the right direction. But if you wind up with apathy because we're not moving in that direction, people are going to go, I don't care. I'm leaving town. I don't go downtown anymore. I don't go outside after dark. I'm not going to live on Bodie Drive. That's their problem over there. That's going to create a horrible quality of life in our community.
I agree.
But why don't they vote out the politicians that have made that a reality? And that's where I came back from this, is I was like, again, it sounds so crass, and I'm so sorry to say this. As a Christian, I want the people to be supported and everything, but this is going to make it look like the politicians have done a good job. Oh, Columbia's getting safer, re-elect us, and they did nothing right. And so I was like, I think if it gets worse, if that firefighter ISO rating drops and all of the costs of insurance goes up, they're going to be like, this is the politicians' fault. We need to kick them out. And so I completely agree with what you're saying. I can't vote on this, so it doesn't matter. I am super fiscally
it does matter.
conservative.
You're still a big part of the community, and you work here all the time, and you have a life here.
Yep. And I don't go downtown. Like we have a safety team at our church now because it is basically downtown on 7th Street.
But the way you feel affects other people, and so it is important. And like we were talking about with the chief of police earlier this week with her presentation, when we show a positive action for and in support of our police department in Columbia, people in law enforcement all across Missouri notice it.
Right.
And they go, check this thing out. And when our city council was not backing up the police officers, they were noticing it too. And they're like, they're down at Lake Ozark, and they're like, I'm not gonna go.
They didn't back up our cops. They didn't back up President Choi. They didn't walk downtown. They didn't do any of the stuff they were supposed to. And now they're like, yes, give us some more money. Give us some more money. And I'm like, no, I won't do it.
And it's a hypocrite bullshit.
Yep.
It really is. But it's now my turn.
Yep.
And that's what Tuesday is. And I'm like,
right.
I'm going to step up.
I would simply say, you don't want to cut off your nose to spite your face, right? I get all of the arguments.
You underestimate how much I want to cut off my nose.
Apparently I do.
I'm just kidding.
Apparently I do.
Yeah,
but all of those things, everything you're saying is not illegitimate.
Right.
It's all legitimate complaints.
Yep.
But my personal opinion is I want to separate this from those. I think there are other avenues to address what you're saying. I get the logic. Mm-hmm. I totally get the logic. I just feel like we would be better served addressing those things through a different avenue than a protest vote against what will make our
I think that's exactly the way to refer to it, as a protest vote. And it's like, you guys, it won't change anything about the way. Barbara Buffalo is still going to be concerned of how much electrical power we're getting from what we refer to as renewable resources. Yep. That's way high up here. You talk about the $700 million. Part of that is
utilities.
Yeah. And our utilities here are more expensive because of that. Mm-hmm. And so that's a reason, because we set these bars high for what we want to achieve. Yep. It's not what we're regulated we have to do. It's what we're telling ourselves we have to do.
Right.
So we spend more on electricity for this. And they're charging us more depending on the time of day and the time of year that we want these things. It's like, damn, that's not fair, but whatever. Yep. We're not going to change that with Barbara Buffalo. And I've said this before, and I have people argue with me. I don't think she's a bad person. I think she's a doll.
Yeah.
I'm glad she's part of our community.
But she doesn't belong leading one of the largest cities in our state.
Not when we have serious issues that we have to take care of, and I believe this is one of those. And if by chance she wound up making the right decision and decided we need to bring in $38 million and put a bunch of it toward the fire and everything else toward police, I agree with her. So maybe I'll never, ever agree with her again. Right now I do. But I don't want to walk out of here like, well, there, we just solved it because it's my point. I want to share something.
You are the only one at this table that gets to vote, though.
That's true. And I control your microphone.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm going to turn your mics off now. I do want to share this from Mike Murphy at ComoBuzz.com. He said Buffalo's case for Prop 1 is the best argument against it. And I only want to share this because
that's a great line.
Because I think I want to show, look, I can honestly see everything. Yeah. I am voting for it, but I want to show. He says, resilient communities don't solve problems by choosing one priority over another, Buffalo wrote. They invest in systems that work together. Instead, it explains how Columbia got into this position. A government that does not choose one priority over another is not setting priorities at all. Why? Resilient communities don't solve problems by choosing one priority over another? Yeah, they do.
Yeah, that's the definition.
And I think that's part of the fantasy world of lollipops and butterflies is that you do have to. Yesterday on this podcast, when I said I don't have a problem with people on the bottom of the totem pole paying sales tax. I don't have a problem with it at all.
Right.
Here's what I expect from you. Wake up. Do what you can today and produce something. And then go sleep.
Right.
That's all I need from you is to do that.
The only people that don't
they
pick,
shouldn't have to produce anything. No, bitch, they should.
Yeah. The only people that don't choose one priority over another are trust fund babies that have unlimited money. That's really the only people that don't have to choose one priority or the other. In our own house, in every household, it's do I have to fix the siding? Do I have to fix the roof? Like, okay, there's water pouring in. I can deal with this part later.
Joe, you
we all
talked
have
about
priorities.
being on a board of directors and a company says, we're going to take product A off the shelves and replace it with these 5 products over here. And as a board of director member, you're going to say, hold on, I'm familiar with A. A's been our bread and butter. It's done a hell of a job. You want to replace it with these 5. If you would have been sitting there when new Coke was introduced, you'd be like, wait a second, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
You want to do what?
Great example.
New Coke.
There is a new guy that I'm watching. I think his name is Michael Girdley, and he does The Rise and the Fall, and it's a great series of podcasts that he does. And it's not really a podcast; it's more like a vlog out there. And he talks about these corporations that have done really, really, really well, and then why they came down or why they're currently going down. And I don't always agree with some of the stuff he does, and he makes some stuff seem more obvious than others. And sure, in retrospect now it's obvious, but you wouldn't have known it at the time. Some of the stuff you did know at the time, and you should have known. He talked about Target and where they are today, and the failing that they had trying to go into Canada and how bad it failed and why. Everyone on the board of directors, every shareholder should have known that was going to happen, and yet they didn't see it coming. On this particular one, we are the shareholders in Columbia. I read from Mike, in talking about this thing, that board of directors, whoever it is, they do have to make priorities.
Yep.
And our city leaders, those who are elected, those who are hired, like the city manager's 4 assistants or however many it is, the police chief, the fire chief, they have to make priorities.
Yep. And their priorities are new consultants for the homeless problem.
Yeah,
their priorities are giving money to a homeless shelter. Their priorities are no-mow zones.
Yes.
And stuff. It's not police, fire, and infrastructure.
But on this particular thing, it's forced that it has to be if this is voted on with a yes. So, I get what Mike's saying over here, because Barbara Buffalo she's her worst enemy when she says a resilient community shouldn't have to solve problems by choosing one priority over another. Look, you're not a mom with 6 kids going, I can't pick which one to, what was that, Sophie's Choice? Do you remember that movie way back in the day?
Yeah.
And no, that's a terrible thing, but that's not what this is. It's a city. When the police have to go make a call on we've got a shooter active in an open location down here, or he's holed up in a home with 3 other individuals, he's holding them hostage, we swarm in like ants coming in on a bunch of honey or something. I mean, we go into that thing. We don't have anybody on the streets taking care of other stuff. It is an absolute priority at that time. This is the number one priority. There are lives in there, and we've got to try and save those lives right now. That's the only way an officer, a police, firefighter can do their job, is prioritizing. What's number one here? That's how we organize. So anyway, Mike, I do appreciate your piece on this, and I agree with you that Buffalo is making a case against her own Proposition 1. But the reality is I'll be voting for this, and gosh, I can't help but be passionate about all of these things, but this one in particular. And it's not like I have to hold my nose when I do this, but I will be more impassioned and more aware of what's going on if we vote this in when we wake up Wednesday morning.
Tom, I'm going to say, and I don't say this to you often, but your passion is well placed.
Well, thank you. I wish Deb would say that again.
Yeah, I know, right?
Maybe that's a different.
She says, your passion is too high, leave me alone.
Now look, I told you the testicular atrophy show is going to be coming up soon. I can't wait.
That's got to be the title, the testicular atrophy show.
Well, and I mean, you'll have to let me know.
Are you coming back for this one?
I just want to come and listen to that one. I don't think I want to participate, but I want to be here.
Remember, Tom, this is a video podcast.
Hey, man. Hey, I can feel myself overheating right now, but I've got so much testosterone in my body. I don't know what to tell you. Ellis, thank you for coming in 2 days in a row.
Absolutely.
You are a gentleman. You have a vacation coming up. You're going to be just miles away, just a few miles from where we were.
Where you were.
Down in Florida.
Yep.
So enjoy that, and that's in 2 weeks. Is that right?
Yep, week of August 10th, I'll be gone.
So we will miss you during that week. Thank you for doing double duty this week.
Absolutely.
Joe Priestmeyer, it's been too long, and I'm going to keep your card handy for just this kind of a show in the future where we want to get into and really chat about something and go deep with people that talk and listen. And you're my man for it.
Absolutely. Listen, we need to find something that we
I just realized that we
disagree.
didn't disagree. Well, I disagreed on the prop, which I can't vote on. But otherwise, we were ubiquitous on 4 and 5.
We need to find something where we actually have a little bit of disagreement, because those are the conversations that I love having with you, because you and I can sit down and have those conversations and be on different sides of an issue, but listen to each other and understand the other person's position. Maybe not get convinced by the other person, but understand the other side. Those are the conversations that I love.
Well, and if you look at the people historically, and you'll appreciate this, Ellis, because Jesus of Nazareth would be one of them that could look at something and have empathy at all the angles that are involved. And stand in a place that might seem in middle ground, but really it's really an overview. And I don't mean that in a more up and controlling, but just able to see what's all there, and a level of a new term that I've really never thought about before, which is stoicism, and the ability to react to things on a reasonable level. And you've got to be able to listen if you're going to do that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we talked to some friends last night that they wound up having their family sever a relationship with them just over a political disagreement. And I was like, literally just no contact. We never want to talk to you again over a political disagreement. And our country has lost that ability to be like, hey, I like you. I just disagree with you on this one thing. But so we'll just let that one go. Like, I don't know when we lost that or why, but it's heartbreaking.
I mean, it's been about 30 years in the making, but the last 10, 12 years it's been the worst.
It's been brutal.
And I see people doing that, and you see it online. It's like, here's my stance. You don't like it, unfriend me.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but maybe this family thing, it's like, you're going to hang your hat on that?
Yeah.
Like in 10 years, you're going to tell people, I'm so glad I don't see my brother anymore. We didn't agree on the sewer proposition.
Yeah.
So now.
So he's dead to me.
He's dead to me.
It's like, what the heck, man?
Yeah, that's
heartbreaking.
That's a little strong. But yes, Joe, let's get together again in the future. We'll keep
you
handy.
And anytime, my friend.
And meanwhile, just stay in touch, brother.
Yeah. You got it.
We're going to go ahead and use our normal out over here. I won't go to the graphic piece that we have that said the Big Ballot Podcast.
I like that.
But I'm going to make a graphic for the Testicular Atrophy Podcast. That's going to be. I don't know what that graphic's going to look like. It'll be graphic.
You know exactly what that's going to look like. You're still doing your normal closer, right?
Yes, I am, my friends. Get out there and vote. If you choose not to, well, that's your problem. But live this day, live this election season as if it were your last. I say to you, okay.